Hello, my friends. Greetings from Berlin. It's Andrea here with a new topic that is about Jupiter, new and old, but I would like to get more concrete for the ones that are interested in crypto and also in the strategy for the next year for the bull market. And I refer especially to Jupiter, which just entered the sidereal sign of Taurus, and this happened on April 30th, 2024. And we have also the same Jupiter entering the tropical sign of Gemini, which is about markets, about trading, which is very important for us, also about news. And this happens on May 25th, 2024. So I filmed it before, therefore I refer to the future, but I want to focus basically on the whole next year, on the bull market, and on the time span between June, so beginning of June 2024 until the end of May 2025, when we will have another change of sign for Jupiter. And we will talk not only about Jupiter, but we will also talk about other growth triggers and about the potential that is given by the retrograde planets, and can we really hope in big growth and for what kind of assets. I would like to start with Jupiter, and then I will continue with the other two triggers for growth, so stay tuned if you are interested in this. And then I would like to shape also the content for the altcoins list that would be a new product, about concrete dates and what can we offer there. So I hope this will be interesting for you, and nevertheless, for each transit, I would outline the price action characteristics, so to speak, and the domains. So let's start with Jupiter, because this is the main driver for the year. It has a trajectory of 1 year in a certain sign, approximately. It depends how long it goes retrograde and so on. But roughly, if we think about the yearly calendar, we would think about Jupiter first and foremost. And Jupiter is about to traverse three important constellations, not in their entirety, but it will be like two constellations and a half, which is in each zodiac sign. And we will have a transition in the Kritika nakshatra, starting with the second pada, just after the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction took place in the Kritika nakshatra in the first pada. Kritika is a constellation with a symbol as a knife. So it's a knife, it cuts. We saw some cuts of prices for sure. Of course, it was really linked to halving and to this event. And this is something that happens with each halving cycle for the ones that have experience in this. So it's not very surprising, but long term, it will go up. So Kritika is about pruning things that do not really work, about identifying problems and going to the root of the matter. It will be a very, let's say, research-oriented nakshatra from this point of view, but also a courageous nakshatra. It's not afraid to destroy things. So how can we interpret that? It will be also some projects which will disappear. Not all of them will survive. And if this happens, this will happen in the first part of the transit, and the luck will be somehow against it, so to speak. And we are already on a good way into that, because Jupiter will traverse very fast this part of Taurus, which is Kritika. This is not that bad. On June 27th, 2024, we will be through this constellation, so to speak. And we will have also opportunities to see some price increases this time after Sun activated the point of the Uranus-Jupiter conjunction for the coins that were really on the list for the last part of the Jupiter transit into the sidereal Aries, so basically in the tropical Taurus. So the ones who have dates, at the end of the period can review the list, because this will still be applicable in the next part of the year, even if you really consider or not consider to pursue this new product. The thing is that this list will be really something that you can look up also to exit, because yes, some people say, oh, the conditions would be not very auspicious in the sky, so to speak, but it depends also what assets you have, when did you enter, because you can exit the portfolio at any time if you are happy with your profits and it fulfills your goals. So just saying, because I was asked in this regard, this is a very relative topic, that it pertains to each of you, what goals you have and so on. So Kritika is also about cutting, so this means quite fast action. It's also the time when other new projects will really start. So look up for new ICOs, for new projects that are really released in this time, especially until the end of June. Why? Because it's about pruning, it's about purging, so we really clean up what doesn't really work, and then new ground is made for new projects, like the symbol of the goat really eating up all the greenery there, and everything is sort of ground zero in preparation for new growth. So this is what we will see until the end of June. Then I would like to say that it will be easier after that when Jupiter will enter Rohini. Rohini is one of the best nakshatras for business, especially for new starting. So again, watch out for ICOs. It's the nakshatra linked to agriculture, so it's about plants growing, and it's about vehicle, about luxury and so on. So any NFTs, loyalty programs, and also even stocks, that go into the vehicle transportation area, especially luxury cars, for example, would be favored. I think Tesla, maybe we will have better times there. So it's quite a price action that is tailored towards growth, and it's not really stopped, so to speak, by something. So we got rid of the purging, of the cleanup that is made in Kritika. So it's a terrain that is ripe for growth, which is good because this will also show more stability. And it is always something that we look for, especially for crypto. If you saw my other videos, I mentioned about some trends really being put for Ethereum at the end of June. So it's the beginning, it's the trigger of an upward trend. So these are very important to correlate with the price action. And it's not only if, there are also many others that we look forward to. Then it's important also to take into account the fact that we will have Jupiter going retrograde. So it will traverse Rohini, several padas, several times. Now, it's not really relevant to talk about these in much detail, but the second pada will be the most important one actually, because it's the single pada where we have the same star, in the mid of Taurus, that is Yogatara, Pushkara Navamsha, and Pushkara Bhaga. So whatever happens around that time would be auspicious, and Jupiter will cross it. So it's very important to stay tuned with updates. They will be communicated timely as time goes on. In Taurus, Jupiter is not very strong by sign, but it's strong from the significance of the price action and the fact that Jupiter is also a karka or a significate of growth, as Rohini is. So it's about development. It's about really going up, so to speak, in Taurus, which is about finance. Rohini is a nakshatra that will be again traversed multiple times, and this will happen until April 25th, I think, 2025. So it's quite a long time, and it will go into the third part of the sign, so basically in the third constellation of Mrigashira as well. And this would be only half of the constellation that is traversed until May. So we will get only little of Mrigashira at the last of the transit, so to speak, most of it being in Rohini. And Mrigashira is more about searching. And there you will see a faster move, because it will go into the sidereal Gemini afterwards, this Jupiter. So I think now it's maybe too early to talk about details of this transit, but just to know that almost until the end of the transit, Rohini, which is a growth nakshatra, will be triggered, and this will be positive for finance, banking in general. Yes, it's a question, banking to which degree and which banks and so on. But in general, it's a good time for the financial markets, and it's a time of expansion and growth. Volatility is still there because Uranus will be very strong. We will go into it as well. We have also Rahu traversing I think it's more than a half actually for this year, degrees of Pisces. I would go until the end of Pisces, so to speak, and I will tell you concrete dates about this. But this is the quality of the price action for Jupiter. Also, Jupiter is a gradual movement. It's really giving a lot of growth, but it will not be, so to speak, overnight. It's like going up, on stairs, and you can see a trend. And Uranus and Rahu are different, and we want to talk about them as well. The other important triggers for growth are Uranus and Rahu, and we would like to talk about them. So what happens during this time? We have sidereal Taurus highlighted, and Uranus and Rahu basically will go together with Jupiter. So Uranus is together with Jupiter in the sidereal Taurus. Now, I would like to talk about Uranus at first, and then about Rahu. And Rahu will traverse Pisces. And if you didn't see my series on the detailed Rahu transit and what it means for Bitcoin and Ethereum, I will link it here. It's about the detailed price action for the nakshatras of Revati and Uttarabhadrapada and a part of Purvabhadrapada as well. So now we focus on Uranus. Uranus is a catalyst for extraordinary growth. It's a quantum leap, and it happens usually suddenly, overnight, out of the blue. And we have a transit that is very relevant for us while Jupiter is in the sidereal Taurus, and this transit ends really on 15th of May 2025, when we have Jupiter going into the sidereal Gemini. So during this time, what does Uranus do? So we talked about Jupiter, which traversed the Kritika, Rohini, and even a part of Mrigashira, while Uranus will barely be able to cover during this year the nakshatra of Kritika. It's really the Kritika Pada 1. that is in, so it's about, it's Pada 1 and Pada 2 actually, because it's at 3 degrees of the sidereal Taurus. So this means that Uranus moves anyway much slower. It takes 84 years to traverse the whole zodiac. And we have also this very important influence from the Uranus-Jupiter conjunction. So while Uranus is still in the first pada of Kritika, it will be quite energized with this sudden growth, but again, it's increased volatility because you see the drops. I know that people focus more on the drops, but you had also the peaks, which the problem was that they were not sustainable. So this is volatility. However, once we have Uranus in the second part of Kritika, so after 0 of Taurus, which is from June 1st, 2024 until May 2025, we will have more stability as this conjunction will lose power gradually, of course. So the influence will be different. Still, Kritika, the first pada, will be concerned with pruning things, so to speak. So again, we cut, we see the root of the problem. Some projects will not survive, and this will be quite sudden, and maybe some unexpected events will happen for some projects where Uranus activates the chart in a negative manner. And this will be especially from 0 to 3 degrees of the sidereal Taurus. So important natal points in those parts of the zodiac, especially this part of the nakshatra, will be triggered for some altcoins. And some of them will benefit from it. So it depends what is the quality of this influence. It's a harsh nakshatra. It's about, cutting still, but it's also about innovating. It's about new things. So I think a lot of innovation will happen from the Uranian side in this time, and the quality would be much faster, out of the blue, overnight. So this is what Uranus is. Uranus is sudden, out of the blue, and it can bring significant gains. And Rahu is more or less the same. But what would be their difference, the difference between them and their effect on the price action in general, based on observations so far, at least? We see the fact that Rahu usually would give you a warning. So 1 month before, you will already start to feel things. And it's not that Uranus doesn't give, but the warnings of Uranus are not so clear because they are not continuous. They would be discontinued out of the blue, like quantum leap here, then, drop, then quantum leap there. So this is Uranus. But Rahu, no, Rahu will go up. No? So usually it will keep. Also, it's not a sustainable trend for Rahu. For Uranus, especially after the aspect takes place, then we can see a trend. For Rahu will not guarantee any trend. So Rahu is much more unsustainable, but it is about explosive growth. And we do have Rahu in Pisces, traversing the second part from 18 degrees and 53 minutes until 0 of Pisces in sidereal. And this will happen until May 20th, 2025. So this means that in this period from June the 1st, 2024 and the end of May 2025, Rahu will accompany the transit of Jupiter and Uranus in Taurus. And what is advantageous in this year is the fact that, yes, the aspect is not really exact, but it is a sextile most of the time. So a loose sextile, which is between Taurus and Pisces in the sidereal zodiac, which is auspicious, which is positive. So this means that Rahu will not step on the toes of the other planets that are trigger for growth, which are Uranus and Jupiter. And this is advantageous in a way because the growth can be bigger. What is the disadvantage? is the fact that not so many will grow. So not so many altcoins would have the influences spread in these zodiac signs or zodiac signs that are favorable to these ones. So it would be maybe a smaller subset, I would say, that would have really extraordinary growth, because the growth can be very significant, especially if we have them aligned at the same time. Of course, this will be dependent on the chart of each altcoin. And I have, of course, a study regarding this, and we will talk about it in a few minutes. Now, the price action for Rahu is basically unbounded, especially in Pisces, but it is in general really going out of bounds, so to speak. So this means that we can have new at the highest, and the lagna or the ascendant of Bitcoin and Ethereum are well affected by Rahu, as you know from the Rahu in Pisces series. So this means that this would be basically a catalyst for growth for the whole market as such, due to the fact that we have this dominance in the market from Bitcoin and Ethereum. Now, I would like to go into the fact that we do not have only a transit, but we do have also a retrograde transit, which means that some degrees are traversed several times. To be more specific, it's 3 times by Jupiter and Uranus. Why only by these? Because Rahu will always be retrograde by its nature. It will never go direct. And it is, of course, involved in eclipses, so it can bring a lot of growth or, drops. It depends on the aspect on the chart during eclipses when the energy is enhanced. And Uranus and Jupiter again can hit for positive, for better or worse, some horoscopes of some altcoins, and this will happen 3 times for some of them. Not all of them will be affected. So now I would like to tell you what is the period of the retrograde, and this for both Jupiter and Uranus in terms of dates and degrees. In terms of retrogrades, I focus on 2024, just to be clear, and this is important to take into account for the dates and for the degrees. And it's the last part of 2024, which is very important. And chronologically, we have Uranus going retrograde at first. So this will happen on the 1st of September 2024, and it will last until the end of the year. And the same lasting until the end of the year applies to Jupiter, but Jupiter will retrograde later on October 9th. The degrees involved are 29 of sidereal Aries to 3 of sidereal Taurus. I say without minutes, approximately. You have the whole computation in the list if you choose to go for that. And for Jupiter between the 19 and 27, so quite a wide span of 12 degrees, meaning more opportunities of the sidereal Taurus. So this is what we do have until the end of the year. And the altcoins that do have special influences, we refer to the positive ones, they would bring opportunities for investment and growth. Now, I analyzed several coins for this purpose, and I came up with a list that is quite comprehensive, I would say, and it categorizes the coins in a certain, strength, or we have a sort of league. Coins that are in the first league, the second, the third, and we have some 10s of them for sure. So the list is really of 3 categories. So the first category would be the altcoins that do have free hits from Uranus and Jupiter, and also from Rahu. It will always be 1 hit. It can't be more. And this would be approximately 7. I say approximately because this is what I have right now, but I would like to analyze a few because, I try to update as much as possible. In the second category, we will have the coins that have influence, so 3 times from either Jupiter or Uranus and from Rahu, or it could be only Uranus and Jupiter, which means that they are also, prolific in terms of growth, of development, and this would be 27 of them, at least. And 55 of them are in 1 category that would benefit of 1, so either Rahu, Uranus, or Jupiter. But again, Uranus and Jupiter will be 3 times in the year because they benefit from the retrograde. Of course, there are others which have only 1 transit, so we know a lot of coins, and they would also benefit from the transit, but not 3 times. So it will be less. It would be once. It's either at the beginning or at the end of the transit from June 2024 to May 2025. The list contains the concrete dates when the positive aspects are formed. So this means that the peak can happen around that date. Sometimes it is exact that date. It depends what other daily aspects are on that time frame, and we will really update about that in our Patreon and Telegram memberships, as you know, in the monthly calendars 1 month in advance, you'd know. Now, what is also included is a calendar view for each of them, so that you can see from June 2024 until May 2025, each and every month, what dates, what altcoins. Since the price action has a different quality towards it, and a lot of you who benefit from these products, usually in the past you do TA by yourself or consider some experts to do that. This will help you in TA because Uranus, as mentioned, it's quite sudden, out of the blue. It can be a significant peak. Jupiter is a more gradual approach that would go, and Rahu is also a new at the highest, like Uranus it can give, but usually it will give you some warnings that are pretty stable 1 month in advance. So I would say that this way you would be armed with a long-term strategy for this bull market from June 2024 to May 2025. We do have also other planets that can bring outstanding growth, but it would be rather local peaks like Pluto, Neptune, and you might be aware of this from the ones that purchased some yearly calendars from me. These are also important, and there are also other coins which will have that. Also, besides these 3 triggers, there are triggers that could be also even for these coins, so it could be even more than that. But for me, this is the DNA of growth, so Uranus, Rahu, and Jupiter combined, especially for crypto, and this is what I want to offer to you, so that you have a long-term strategy and also short-term, because if some things happen 1 month before, it is good to know for capital allocation, for planning exits, and for shifting, from one position to the other. And I would like also to mention the fact that I will tell also what would be the climate in the market, so to speak. So you will have a dedicated episode for that inside the product, because it's important what the market triggers are astrologically, if this allows the growth or not. So Bitcoin will be mentioned also beyond 2024, so until 2025 May. And the full yearly reports will come soon. So I hope to see you there to grab the Jupiter, Uranus, and Rahu growth trend and to have a solid selection of altcoins that you can consider for your investing and trading strategy. Thank you so much for your attention, for liking and subscribing, and I hope to see you there. See you.